Europe affects us in our everyday lives now in Europeans.
Diana Wrightson and her neighbour Jill Beebe are living on the edge, literally. Until last year, Diana ran a guest and tea house from her home in Haysborough. It's a small village on the east coast of England, about 3 hours from London.
That's going, isn't it now, that cliff? Wasn't it amazing when it had that hole in it?
When Diana bought her house 26 years ago, the local authority assured her the sea defences built in the late 1950s would protect her home. But the barriers started wearing down in the 1990s and the government claims they cost too much to repair.
The government now has decided that rural areas are not worth saving in this part of the country. But they're not prepared to pay property owners to go away, which is what we feel should happen. So at the moment, no, there's no compensation. So when I walk away from this house, all my life savings have gone.
Coastal erosion forced Diana to close her guest house last year. The garage and the beach road behind her house are both gone, and today her house stands less than 5 metres from the cliff. In 1999, her neighbour bought her house for €96,000. Today it's worth just over €1.
We bought the bungalow when my husband retired from work. We had a search done and we were told that it was at least 50 years and we wouldn't have to worry about cliff erosion. Our neighbour next door to me was told when she bought her property that it would last 100 years. And now here we are on the brink.
Diana's guest house was once a popular tourist destination in the small town of Haysborough, population 850 people. The plight of Haysborough, like other coastal towns throughout Europe's opened up a new debate. With climate change and rising sea levels now a scientific reality, the government warns it can't protect the entire coast. It's a bitter pill to swallow for local residents.
If we were a commercial organisation...
Malcolm Kirby also lives in Haysborough. He's a key member of the Coastal Action Concern Group. Kirby says it's unfair some parts of the coast are being protected and argues that if the government won't defend them, they should at least compensate. He blames the problem on outdated laws.
They don't want to understand.
Our statutory instrument for managing the coast is the Coast Protection Act 1949. And that act was contrived and put together based on the premise that no British citizen had a statutory right to be protected from the sea. Therefore, there was no compensation and all powers granted under that act to both government and local government were what they call permissive, which is another way of saying, OK lads, you don't have to do it if you don't want to.
Without compensation, homeowners who've lost their property are offered council housing. This is because they don't have insurance against coastal erosion. It's only offered for flooding. Not good news for the owners of the estimated 26 properties lost to the sea in Haysborough alone over the past 12 years. While sea defences have been maintained to the north and south of Haysborough, the government argues costs outweigh benefits in this village's case. The Environment Agency estimates it would cost nearly €3 million to save 18 houses. Peter Frew at North Norfolk's District Council says the government fears compensation would set an unaffordable precedent.
What government certainly doesn't want to do is to write out a blank cheque and say that to anybody, you can come and buy a house on a cliff top, and when it's in danger of falling in, we'll buy it back from you. And the council wouldn't go along with that idea either. What we want to do is to try and help individuals, and I would also say communities, to adapt to coastal change, because whether we like it or not, the coasts are changing. They have been for thousands of years, and they're going to go on doing it.
Andrew Watkinson heads a climate change research centre at East Anglia University. He says Britain's still adjusting to the last ice age, with Scotland rising and southern England sinking. He says sea levels will rise, but not for years, and man-made defences are making things worse.
Yeah, just click through that.
When you put defences up there and start to protect some parts of the coast and don't protect others, what you do is put the coast out of equilibrium. And then when you remove some defences, in order for the coast to get back to where it should have been, had the defences not been there, it will erode very quickly for a while, and then the rate of erosion will slow down. And a number of the models that we've created very clearly show this. If you have a defence and remove it, you get very rapid erosion, and then it slows down as the coast gets back into an equilibrium state.
But Haysborough's residents argue they can't wait for that. These rocks were brought in 5 years ago to buy the village some time against an unforgiving sea. This is what's left of the ramp used to bring down not only the rocks but the lifeboat too. It's now been moved and the boathouse is on borrowed time. Rita Poll's a volunteer there. She believes Haysborough's relied on a government out of tune with what's really happening.
Let's put it this way, all through, I don't think they talk to the local people. I don't think anyone. They're too far away to talk to locals who really know the area. They know what the sea will do and not do and how it goes in and where it goes, but they don't talk to them.
The village on the cliff top, it has been there for years.
Bob Wright is one of those locals. He's lived in the area for 40 years. 3 years ago, the dismal plight of Haysborough caught his attention. His songs featured on the Coastal Concern Action Group's website. For locals and experts alike, Haysborough is seen as a microcosm of how society will respond to climate change in the future.
It won't be many years before it won't be there to see. Haysborough, why is it no one cares? And all we do is stand and watch it slowly.
I went for a car ride and saw the state of Haysborough and thought I could write a song about this. And if nothing is done, the song will be true. Wait and see.
The reason Haysborough is so important, I think, is that it's almost it's a test case. It's really looking at how we respond to an environmental change issue. And climate change is the biggest issue that we're going to face over the next century, along with the continuing human population rise. We need to examine the environmental issues, the social issues, and the economic issues all together and examine how we move forward and respond as a community to the issue of environmental change.
Last month, the government said it would give €33 million over the next 3 years to help communities where sea defences are no longer considered viable adapt to climate change. A sign, perhaps, that someone's listening.